So this is an edited down version of a live broadcast that I did. What I did was cut out the beginning part where we were waiting for people to join and view the broadcast. And I cut out at the end the kind of thank yous and goodbyes and stuff like that. But I left in the content of the video itself, so I hope you enjoy. And the first thing is that I feel that the idea of weakness here needs to be clearly defined. Weakness is when you're turning one of the topics I'm going to present here in a way that's negative. So for example, the three types of weakness that I've been discussing with the kids in class are fear, fatigue, and pain. And although these are pertaining in class directly to martial arts, they can also apply to life. So the first form of weakness that we're trying to encourage them not to express in a negative way is fear. We want them to feel that it's okay that you experience fear, but it's how they express it and what they do with it. I think that most of the time when kids are afraid of something, they typically shut down. And I think that that also includes adults, not just kids. But fear should be telling us that we need to take action. And in the case of being in class, when they're afraid, sometimes that action means that they need to express to their partner if they're sparring, hey, you need to go lighter with me, or could you be careful? And that goes to being vulnerable. That they're feeling fear and they allow it to be expressed in an appropriate way. If they're in class and we're doing something in class and we ask for a volunteer to talk, someone has to answer a question. Being afraid or being uncomfortable in class and not knowing the answer is okay, but saying, sir, I don't know, if they're asked a question, that's okay. That's being vulnerable. On the topic of fatigue, that's being when they're tired. That means if they're working out in class and they're expressing that fatigue in a way that is weak, that they allow themselves to get caught up in how they feel and they start thinking, I'm tired or I can't do this anymore. That is a form of expressing weakness. It doesn't do anything to promote them to take better action. What I'd like them to do in all cases, and you're going to hear me with this subject as far as handling it with two basic things regardless of what it is. One, breathe. Whether they're afraid, they're in fatigue, or they're in pain, the first thing that we want to teach them to do is to breathe. That's the first thing to do when we're stressed, when we're feeling weakness. Breathe. And then the second thing is, I've got to learn to suck it up. And suck it up might mean I have to work to get over it. I have to work to get past this. Whether it's them being afraid of something, they're fatigued over something, or they've been injured. And when we get down to the subject of pain here, as far as weakness goes, I want to be clear that in our school, I want them to try to work around those small pain tolerances. They stub their toe, they bonk their head or something like that. I never want them to view an injury as a form of weakness. So if they're in class, I absolutely want to have them notify myself or another instructor if they might be injured. But if they've jammed their toe, if they got hit with something, and they can work through it, we want to encourage them to do that. In all of these things, whether it's fear, whether it's pain, whether it's fatigue, we are trying to encourage them to stand on their own 2 feet. Because parents, you're not always going to be there for them. In the case of an adult, we still want to encourage these kind of things. Because out in life, we're not going to always have our support team with us. It's great if we have a circle of friends and support, but we have to be able to handle these things on our own. So, and fear doesn't just have to be about getting hit. That fear could be that fear of, like I mentioned earlier, asking a question in class and thinking that, well, I don't want to ask it because people make fun of me or they'll think that I'm dumb. Fear could be a young man deciding that he wants to ask a girl out on a date and he's afraid to do so. So what I'm talking about fear, it's more broad than just fear about getting hit when they're sparring or fighting. And when it comes to fatigue or getting tired, I don't mean just in exercising in class. We can get worn down and fatigued without ever doing any exercise. I'm sure any adults that might be watching here have had a day where you were at work and you might not have done a lot of physical activity, but at the end of the day, you were absolutely drained mentally, right? So it's all right that we feel that, but we don't want that turned into a form of weakness, because that will mean that we're going to act out when we are approached by family members. I'm just tired, I'm not feeling it. Then we want to find a way that we can turn that into a positive for us. And pain. On the subject of pain, I don't want the students to think of pain just about getting hit. There's the pain that we feel when we've lost a loved one. There's the pain that we feel when we're disappointed about something we really wanted and went after. And it's all right to feel those things, but we want to express them in a way that does something positive forward. So I'm trying to encourage the students to not allow themselves to show weakness in its regular form, but in some kind of positive way. On the flip side to that, I want them to understand the idea of vulnerability. Vulnerability in my mind is when you don't know something and you ask for help. Vulnerability is when you have a friend perhaps that that has turned on you, and you're not friends anymore. Especially this goes through a lot in middle school and high school, that you can express that to your parents or to another friend appropriately, where they're being vulnerable and they're not attacking. They're not lashing out, but they're being vulnerable about it. I think it's important, especially to teach boys and girls, but in boys in particular, learn don't be soft, don't cry, don't be weak. And that oftentimes can turn into a kind of coldness, where then they can't express themselves. They can't be vulnerable. They think that that's a form of weakness. And to be honest with you, I feel that that kind of vulnerability, when appropriate, is a form of strength. That ability to express yourself and communicate to others what you're feeling. And so my hope is that they can find the right people to express that vulnerability to. That they can have it with parents, that they can have it with a mentor, someone that they care about, that is not going to pounce on them because of that vulnerability. So there it is. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please click the like button down below. Share it with other people and subscribe to our channel. Especially if you're a family member of our school, please subscribe so that you'll get future videos that I post here on our YouTube channel. Thank you again for watching.